Well, whether it's the latest mobile phone, music player or social networking site, young people just can't live without their gadgets, it seems. But the way they use them is very different depending on where they live. That's according to a new report. In India, for example, a mobile phone or an iPod is the gadget of choice. They're both seen as real status symbols. But in China, social networking sites are by far the most popular form of digital communication. Well, word-of-mouth recommendations for the latest gadgets are key, and that's having a real impact on how companies do their marketing. Well, joining me now is Andrew Davidson from MTV Networks International, which was involved in this report. Thanks for coming in. Why are there these differences? Is it to do with culture? What is the reason behind it?
Well, I think the interesting thing is that whilst the technology might be very similar around these different countries, the way that people and young people engage with these technologies depends on their local cultures and many factors. It depends on their climate. So we found in this research that people in hotter countries are more interested and more keen to engage with mobile internet because they're out of their house more often than kids in cold climates. So some pretty simple things, but also culturally, a young person growing up in China in a regime where they might not have been able to express themselves so freely before, having a blog on a social network, suddenly you're able to express yourself in the most fantastic way.
And of course, age has some impact on the way these technologies are used as well, doesn't it?
It does. And this is the interesting thing. Again, we're talking about technology, but seeing how something like puberty, kids going through adolescence, has a massive impact on how they engage with new technology. So around about 12 or 13, in pretty much every country in the world, we suddenly see this huge increase in this fervour to connect and communicate constantly.
And India, it's got a real passion for certain forms of technology, and that's really influencing the way kids communicate, isn't it?
It is. One of the interesting things about India is the passion for communicating between the sexes. So of all countries that we went and spoke to in this 16-country study, Indians were the most likely to be flirting when you put instant messenger in front of them, which is good fun. I'm sure Indian parents who buy their kids this technology to make sure that they pass their exams and do well at school are not amused.
But let's look at Japan, where you'd think it was the land of high-tech networking, that sort of thing. That hasn't turned out to be the case, has it?
No. I mean, interesting thing about Japan, surrounded and immersed in technology, but kids very much still putting the emphasis on meeting up face-to-face. I mean, globally, we did find that young people were more interested in meeting and communicating with their friends face-to-face than online, except in China, where their number one choice would be text messaging.
Now, how does all this tie into the marketing strategies of these big companies that do technology?
Well, I think there's a couple of key things. I mean, firstly, understanding the local differences. The tech might be the same sort of products exist in these different markets, but you need to have locally relevant messages and use the platform that's most relevant to that particular market. I think the other thing is really understanding how intensely personal young people's relationship is with technology. They're very involved in it. I mean, to give you an example, on MTV we have a new show called Meet or Delete, where young people actually go through each other's hard drives, and depending on the contents, they decide who they want to date.
Andrew, I'm going to forgive you that plug. I've got to end it there. Thank you very much for joining us.